Royal Guard BREAKS Emergency Protocol, after Princess Charlotte collapses suddenly without warning. It was a day that promised routine elegance, a day for ceremonies, greetings, and smiles that would be captured by cameras from around the world. Princess Charlotte had been scheduled for a public engagement, one of many she attended throughout the year, but each carried its own sense of importance. Today, she was to meet a group of young students visiting the palace, an event that combined education, tradition, and royal charm. Charlotte moved through the palace corridors with grace. Her footsteps were quiet yet purposeful, the soft swish of her dress against the polished marble floor echoing slightly in the otherwise hushed hallway. Even in moments of solitude, her demeanor carried the poise of someone born into royalty, yet her eyes betrayed a gentle warmth that made her approachable, human, and relatable. Staff members bowed politely as she passed, but her soft smile reassured them that their efforts were appreciated. The Royal Guard, always present during her movements, maintained their usual formation around her. Among them was Captain Thomas Bennet, a man whose dedication to protocol was legendary within the palace walls. Tall, strong, and vigilant, he had spent decades perfecting the art of observation. Every gesture, every glance, every small detail was catalogued in his mind. To Bennet, duty was absolute. Rules were not suggestions, but lifelines that protected those he was sworn to serve. Yet beneath his disciplined exterior was a man capable of compassion, quick thought, and, if necessary, decisive action. As Charlotte approached the grand entrance leading to the palace gardens, the sound of distant chatter grew louder. Guests had begun to gather, journalists with cameras and microphones were in position, and the air was filled with excitement. Children's laughter echoed from the far end of the gardens, mingling with the gentle hum of conversations from the crowd. The gardens themselves were immaculate, with rows of flowers in full bloom, meticulously trimmed hedges, and fountains that sparkled under the morning sun. It was a scene that seemed lifted from a painting, a mixture of tradition, ceremony, and natural beauty. Despite the perfection of the surroundings, Captain Bennet's sharp eyes noted subtle details that others might miss. Princess Charlotte's complexion was slightly paler than usual, and there was a faint weariness in her posture that suggested fatigue. Yet she moved forward with her usual warmth, greeting guests and exchanging polite words. She laughed softly at a child's innocent joke, her eyes crinkling with genuine amusement. To any casual observer, she appeared healthy, radiant, and fully in control. But Bennet's instincts told him that vigilance could not be relaxed, not even for a moment. The princess stepped out into the gardens, the gentle breeze lifting her hair slightly. She waved gracefully to the gathered crowd, her smile steady and reassuring. Children approached her shyly, extending handmade cards and small gifts which she accepted graciously. Photographers clicked away, capturing the moment in sharp detail. Everything seemed perfect, yet beneath the surface, there was an undercurrent of tension that only those trained to notice it could detect. As she continued through the garden paths, the crowd parted politely, allowing her to move freely. Her steps were measured, deliberate, but there was a subtle hesitation in the way she paused to adjust her posture. A momentary dizziness passed, unnoticed by those around her but immediately apparent to Captain Bennet. His eyes narrowed slightly, scanning her face for any further signs of distress. The rest of the guards remained alert but unaware of the minor warning signs. To them, everything seemed normal. Charlotte reached a small pavilion at the center of the garden, where a group of young students waited to meet her. She bent down to speak with them at their level, listening intently to their questions and offering kind words of encouragement. Her voice was calm, melodic, and engaging, instantly putting the children at ease. They laughed and gestured excitedly, proud to be in her presence. Guests nearby watched, impressed by her patience and sincerity. Captain Bennet observed quietly, his mind alert. He noted the slight tremor in her hands as she accepted a drawing from a young girl. He saw the momentary closing of her eyes as if trying to steady herself. To anyone else, these would have been inconsequential details, easily overlooked in the joyous atmosphere. But Bennet knew better. He had learned through experience that small signals could precede a serious medical issue, and hesitation could be costly. The crowd continued to interact with the princess, unaware of the tension brewing just beneath the surface. Photographers focused on capturing smiles, laughter, and candid moments. Staff members flitted about, ensuring that every detail of the event remained flawless. It was a dance of precision and grace, a choreography that required careful attention and silent coordination. Every movement was planned, every role defined. Yet in the midst of perfection, life had a way of reminding even the most disciplined that unpredictability could strike at any moment. As Charlotte stood to move toward the next group of guests, the subtle signs intensified. Her step slowed slightly, and she placed a gentle hand on a nearby railing for support. Captain Bennett's senses sharpened. He positioned himself slightly ahead of her, ready to intervene if necessary. The rest of the guards continued to follow protocol, maintaining formation and watching the crowd. Everything appeared normal to them, but Bennett's intuition told him otherwise. And then, without warning, it happened. Princess Charlotte's knees buckled, her body swaying as if caught in an unseen current. Gasps rippled through the crowd, the cheerful atmosphere giving way to sudden alarm. A few nearby children froze, unsure of what was happening. Parents instinctively reached out, and photographers stopped clicking, sensing that the moment had shifted from celebration to crisis. Captain Bennett reacted instantly. Training and experience collided with instinct, and he stepped forward, placing his hands gently but firmly around the princess. He guided her carefully to prevent a fall, positioning himself to shield her from the crowd. Other guards moved closer, following their duty to protect, yet their eyes were wide with uncertainty. They had never witnessed a situation like this, and their training did not cover the unpredictability of real human fragility in such moments. Charlotte's eyes fluttered open briefly, her expression confused and disoriented. She tried to speak, but her voice was weak, barely audible over the murmurs of the crowd. Captain Bennett leaned in slightly, offering quiet reassurance while maintaining a calm presence that radiated control amidst chaos. "Stay with me, Your Highness," he whispered firmly, his voice steady despite the sudden emergency. The crowd instinctively stepped back, creating a small space around the princess and her protector. Some bystanders tried to offer assistance, but Captain Bennett politely but firmly guided them away, understanding that too many hands could complicate the situation. He scanned the area quickly, noting the nearest exit points, the location of the palace medical team, and the best route to move the princess safely. Every second mattered. As Charlotte's body began to regain some stability, a faint color returned to her cheeks. Captain Bennett adjusted his hold slightly, ensuring she was supported but not constrained. He observed her breathing, shallow, yet steady enough to suggest no immediate danger to her airway. His mind raced, considering the next steps, weighing the rules of protocol against the urgency of the situation. Normally, the guards would wait for medical personnel, maintain the ceremonial distance, and preserve strict order. But experience and instinct told him that delay could have consequences. The murmurs of the crowd grew, blending concern with curiosity. Whispers of "Is she okay?" and "What happened?" circulated rapidly. Photographers cautiously resumed their work, capturing images that would later make headlines, though the focus had shifted from celebratory portraits to a scene of tension and worry. Staff members exchanged hurried glances, communicating silently with gestures, trying to maintain composure while preparing for the arrival of medical assistance. Captain Bennett made a quick decision. He would ensure the princess's immediate safety first and foremost, even if it meant bending the rigid rules he had followed for so many years. His mind was clear, focused solely on protecting Charlotte while navigating the delicate balance between urgency and restraint. This was a moment where discipline met instinct, and experience would guide every action. Slowly, with careful movements, he helped Charlotte toward a nearby bench shaded by a large tree. The natural cover offered privacy and a safe space for initial assessment. Other guards flanked them, maintaining security while allowing Bennett to take the lead. The princess's breathing seemed to stabilize slightly, and she managed a weak smile, an attempt to reassure those around her. The crowd responded with a mix of relief and continued concern, watching intently as events unfolded. In those moments, the palace gardens transformed from a scene of ceremony and celebration into a space of quiet intensity. Every eye was on the princess, every movement scrutinized. Yet amidst the chaos, Captain Bennett's calm presence anchored the situation. His ability to assess, react, and act decisively created a buffer between potential danger and safety. demonstrating the critical importance of judgment in moments where rules alone could not dictate the outcome. As the first signs of professional medical assistance approached from within the palace, the atmosphere remained charged with anticipation. The princess had not fully recovered, and every second counted. Captain Bennett stayed close, offering support and reassurance, embodying both protector and guide. In the midst of royal protocol, public expectation, and human vulnerability, he remained a constant, silent force of calm and competence. The morning sun continued to shine over the gardens, unaware of the drama unfolding beneath its light. Birds chirped softly in the trees, and the fountains continued their gentle cascade, a reminder that life often proceeds, even amidst unexpected emergencies. Princess Charlotte, though shaken, remained conscious, and the first steps toward care and recovery had begun. It was a moment that would later be remembered not for the chaos, but for the courage, judgment, and quick thinking that prevented a tragedy in its earliest moments. The moment Princess Charlotte's body swayed and then collapsed, the atmosphere of the palace gardens shifted. Instantly, what had been a cheerful, almost festive scene became tense, quiet, and charged with urgency. The crowd froze, unsure how to respond. Some of the children stared wide-eyed, confused by the sudden turn of events. Adults whispered hurriedly among themselves, trying to make sense of what had just happened. The photographers stopped clicking, cameras dangling from their necks as they watched the princess's situation unfold. Captain Thomas Bennett did not hesitate. His instincts, honed over years of service, kicked in immediately. He moved closer to the princess, placing his hands carefully but firmly around her as if to form a protective shield. The other guards followed the standard protocol, forming a tight perimeter, signaling for medical staff and maintaining order. Yet Bennett knew that protocol alone might not be enough in this moment. The seconds ticking by felt heavier than minutes, and he could sense that Princess Charlotte needed more immediate attention than a strict adherence to rules would allow. Normally, royal protocol dictated that guards should not physically move a royal family member unless absolutely necessary. The guidelines were clear: wait for medical personnel, maintain a secure perimeter, and minimize direct contact. These rules existed to protect the royal family and ensure order in high-pressure situations. But in the split second that Charlotte's knees buckled, Bennett realized that waiting could be dangerous. He assessed the situation quickly. The princess was conscious but disoriented, swaying lightly as she tried to regain her balance. Her pallor was concerning, and her weak breathing suggested she might be in distress. Bennett made the decision, quietly, firmly, and without hesitation. He gently lifted Princess Charlotte, supporting her weight against his own. His movements were careful, precise, and deliberate, ensuring that she would not fall or injure herself further. He positioned himself to shield her from the crowd, knowing that even well-meaning bystanders could unintentionally make the situation worse. His actions were deliberate but decisive, a perfect blend of strength and gentleness. The other guards glanced at him with surprise. Some hesitated, unsure if Bennett's deviation from protocol was appropriate. But the urgency in his eyes left no room for doubt. They quickly adjusted, forming a protective barrier around him and the princess, allowing him the space to act while maintaining security. The palace staff, sensing that something critical was happening, moved to create a clear path toward a safer area where medical assistance could reach them quickly. Princess Charlotte's lips quivered as she tried to speak. Her voice was soft, almost inaudible, and Bennett leaned closer to hear her. I feel dizzy," she whispered, the words barely escaping. Her hands clutched at his uniform lightly, as if seeking reassurance. Bennett nodded calmly, keeping his tone steady and reassuring. "You're safe, Your Highness. I've got you," he said, his voice firm yet gentle. It was important for the princess to feel secure even as her body betrayed her strength. As Bennett moved her away from the crowded pavilion, he noticed that several photographers had instinctively started capturing images, though most had stopped once they realized the seriousness of the situation. Flashing cameras could have startled or stressed her further, so he subtly guided her behind a small hedge, out of immediate view. This small act created a buffer, both physically and psychologically, giving the princess a sense of privacy and security amidst the chaos. The crowd murmured and shifted nervously. A few concerned onlookers whispered to one another, while children clutched the hands of their parents, unsure of what they were witnessing. Some of the palace staff attempted to approach, but Bennett's firm but polite gestures kept them at a respectful distance. He needed to assess her condition without distraction. He could hear the rapid footsteps of the palace medical team approaching from within the palace corridors, but he knew that even a few seconds' delay could make a difference. Bennett's mind raced as he assessed every detail of Charlotte's condition. Her skin was slightly clammy, her pulse faint but steady. She seemed confused, blinking rapidly as if trying to process the surrounding environment. He spoke softly to her, asking simple questions. "Can you hear me? Can you tell me where it hurts?" Her weak nods reassured him that she was still conscious and responsive. He made a mental note of every observation, knowing that it would be important to share with the medical team once they arrived. In the background, other guards moved to secure the perimeter. They ensured that no one could get too close, that no one would crowd the princess, and that no sudden disturbances would occur. They also signaled to the palace communications team, who began coordinating internally to prepare for the arrival of medical staff. The situation was delicate. While privacy was necessary, the palace also needed to ensure that emergency procedures were being followed properly. As they moved toward a nearby shaded pavilion, Bennett adjusted his hold on the princess. His movements were careful and controlled, balancing her weight to prevent further strain on her legs. Charlotte's weak attempts to stand on her own were gently discouraged. He knew that even a momentary misstep could lead to a fall. With each step, he offered quiet reassurance, talking to her calmly to keep her focused and less anxious. The palace medical team arrived quickly, rushing down a corridor that led to the gardens. Their appearance was professional, efficient, and composed, and they immediately recognized the situation as serious. Bennett moved Charlotte closer to them, describing her condition in concise terms. Slight dizziness, weakness in her legs, semi-conscious but responsive, pulse faint but steady, and no visible injuries. The medical team nodded and quickly prepared to take over, checking vital signs and preparing equipment for immediate care. Even as the professionals took over, Bennett remained close. His role had shifted from protector to observer and support. He monitored the princess, ensuring she remained calm and secure while the medical team assessed her fully. He communicated quietly with the staff, giving instructions to maintain privacy and minimize disruptions. Every decision he made was deliberate, guided by both training and experience. Meanwhile, the crowd outside continued to react. Word spread quickly that something serious had happened to the princess. Some onlookers whispered in alarm, while journalists began speaking urgently into their microphones, trying to provide updates. Social media buzzed with speculation. Yet none of this affected Bennett's focus. He had learned long ago to shut out distractions when duty required his full attention. The situation, while tense, began to stabilize. Princess Charlotte's color slowly returned as she rested on a nearby bench under the shade. The medical team checked her vitals carefully, confirming that she had experienced a sudden drop in blood pressure, likely causing the brief collapse. They reassured Bennett that she would be fine with continued observation and rest. Bennett, ever the vigilant guardian, allowed himself a brief sigh of relief, knowing that his quick decision had prevented potential harm. As the initial emergency passed, palace staff worked quietly behind the scenes to restore order. The crowd remained curious but respectful, guided by officials who explained that the princess was receiving medical attention. Bennett continued to maintain a protective presence, ensuring that Charlotte felt secure as she gradually regained strength. His decision to break protocol, though technically against standard procedure, had proven vital. Without immediate intervention, the outcome could have been far more serious. Bennett reflected quietly on the incident. Protocol was important, yes, but moments like this demanded more than rules. They demanded judgment, courage, and the ability to act decisively in the face of uncertainty. He knew that later questions would be asked, reports would be written, and the event would be scrutinized in detail. But in that moment, there was no time for hesitation. The priority had been the princess's safety, and he had acted accordingly. Princess Charlotte, though still weak, looked at him with gratitude. There was no need for words. The unspoken understanding was clear. He had been there when it mattered most, and she knew it. His calm, decisive actions had ensured that she remained safe, even in a situation that could have turned chaotic in seconds. The trust between them, built over years of service, had proven its strength under pressure. The palace medical team began gently moving Charlotte to a more private area for further observation and treatment. Bennett followed closely, guiding her carefully while maintaining a calm and reassuring presence. Other guards flanked them, ready to respond to any new developments. The crowd outside continued to murmur, some expressing relief, others simply watching with concern. News of the incident would undoubtedly spread quickly, but for now, the focus was entirely on ensuring the princess's well-being. By the time they reached the secure pavilion, Princess Charlotte was sitting with the support of a cushion and a blanket provided by the medical team. Her breathing had stabilized, and her pulse returned to a more normal rhythm. She looked up at Bennett and gave a faint but genuine smile, conveying gratitude and trust. It was a quiet, human moment amidst the formality and tension of the day. Captain Bennett allowed himself a brief moment to breathe. His decision to break protocol, act on instinct, and place the princess's safety above strict rules had been tested, and it had worked. The danger had passed, but the experience left him reflective. He knew that the rest of the day, and indeed the aftermath in the media, would focus on questions of protocol, duty, and the role of judgment in emergencies. Yet he felt confident that in that critical moment, he had done exactly what needed to be done. The palace staff coordinated quietly with the medical team to ensure that Charlotte remained comfortable and safe. Officials began to prepare statements for the public, emphasizing that the princess was receiving care and that there was no immediate danger. The crowd outside was gradually guided away from the scene, allowing the palace grounds to return to a semblance of order. Throughout it all, Captain Bennett remained close to Charlotte, a quiet, steadfast presence ensuring that every precaution was taken to protect her. By the end of this tense and emotional morning, Princess Charlotte had regained her composure, thanks largely to the decisive actions of the royal guard. Captain Bennett had acted against protocol, yet the outcome demonstrated the importance of judgment, instinct, and courage. What could have been a minor collapse in a public space became a story of human decision-making under pressure, a moment where rules met reality, and swift action made all the difference. The sun continued its climb in the sky, illuminating the palace gardens as if nothing had happened. Yet for those involved, particularly Captain Bennett and Princess Charlotte, the day would forever be remembered as a moment where duty, instinct, and human care intersected in a profound and meaningful way. Once Princess Charlotte was seated safely in the shaded pavilion, the palace medical team began their careful assessment. Their movements were precise and coordinated, each person fulfilling a specific role. Monitors were gently placed on her wrists and chest to track her pulse, blood pressure, and oxygen levels. A nurse offered water in small sips, but Charlotte shook her head weakly, still trying to process the sudden dizziness that had overtaken her. She looked around, taking in the worried faces of the guards and staff who had followed closely, their concern evident in their eyes. Captain Thomas Bennett remained close by, standing slightly behind her but within immediate reach. He observed every detail, her breathing pattern, the color returning to her cheeks, the faint tremor in her hands. His instincts, finely tuned from years of service, told him that although the immediate danger had passed, vigilance was still required. Even minor changes in her condition could escalate rapidly, and he was determined to act before that could happen. The medical team worked quickly but calmly. One doctor gently took her pulse, murmuring reassuring words as Charlotte looked up at him with a fragile but trusting expression. "You're doing fine, Princess," the doctor said softly. "We're going to take good care of you." "Just relax." Charlotte's lips curved into a small, grateful smile. It was clear that the calm professionalism of the team helped soothe some of her lingering anxiety. But the faint pallor of her skin and the weakness in her legs reminded everyone present that she had just experienced a serious episode. Outside the pavilion, the palace staff coordinated quietly, maintaining a respectful distance while ensuring that the area remained secure. Guards kept the crowd at bay, allowing privacy while also observing for any unusual activity. The news of the princess's sudden collapse had begun to spread through whispers and hushed conversations. Staff members moved silently, aware that every gesture and every word would be scrutinized if reported publicly. The delicate balance between privacy, security, and public interest weighed heavily on their minds. Bennett knelt slightly to speak quietly to Charlotte. "You're safe now. Just breathe slowly and stay with us," he said. His tone was calm, measured, and firm, conveying both authority and reassurance. The princess nodded faintly, resting her head slightly against the back of the bench. She felt a strange mix of fear and relief, fear at what had just happened, and relief that she was surrounded by competent professionals who were acting quickly and decisively. The doctor began asking gentle, simple questions to assess her overall condition. "Have you felt dizzy like this before? Any recent illnesses or unusual fatigue? Are you experiencing pain anywhere?" Charlotte answered softly, her words slow but clear. She mentioned mild fatigue over the past week, but had assumed it was nothing serious. She had not expected that it would culminate in a sudden collapse in front of so many people. The doctor made careful notes, acknowledging that minor exhaustion combined with the morning's activities could have contributed to the episode. Meanwhile, the palace communications team worked swiftly behind the scenes. Messages were prepared for official channels, assuring the public that the princess was receiving immediate attention and that her condition was being monitored. The wording had to strike a delicate balance, calming concern without overdramatizing, maintaining privacy without concealing the seriousness of the incident. Social media had already begun to buzz with speculation, and controlling the narrative required careful coordination. The princess's family had been alerted and was en route to the pavilion. The queen, her parents, and close aides were understandably anxious, yet the palace had trained protocols for such situations. They were instructed to remain calm, speak softly, and wait for updates from the medical team. Their journey through the palace corridors was brisk but controlled, each step heavy with concern yet measured to avoid alarm. As the family arrived, the princess's eyes lit up briefly with recognition. Seeing familiar faces brought comfort. Her mother reached for her hand gently, while her father's voice, calm but concerned, reassured her. "We're here now, Charlotte." "Everything will be fine," he said softly. The presence of family had an immediate effect, her breathing steadied, and a slight flush returned to her cheeks. Emotional support, combined with professional medical care, created a strong sense of stability in the moment. Captain Bennett continued to observe quietly, ensuring the princess remained steady and secure. He had acted decisively in the initial moments when protocol might have slowed response, and now he focused on supporting the medical team and family without interfering. His calm demeanor helped those around him maintain composure, reinforcing the sense of order amidst the urgency. The medical team conducted a more thorough assessment, checking vital signs, hydration levels, and neurological responses. They asked Charlotte to describe any feelings of dizziness, nausea, or blurred vision. Each observation was recorded carefully, contributing to a complete understanding of her condition. Bennett noted every detail in his mind as well. He knew that accurate communication would be essential should any further complications arise. As the examination continued, the princess's condition began to stabilize. Her pulse was stronger, her color more natural, and her breathing steady. She even managed a small, tired laugh when her younger sibling teased her lightly about fainting in front of everyone. The moment provided a brief sense of relief and lightness, breaking some of the tension that had dominated the past minutes. Despite the improvement, caution remained the priority. The doctor explained that Charlotte would need a period of rest, hydration, and observation to ensure no underlying medical issues were missed. He recommended that she remain seated and avoid standing for long periods. Captain Bennett helped guide her gently into a more comfortable position, ensuring that she was secure and relaxed while maintaining readiness for any sudden change. Throughout the event, the crowd outside remained curious but patient. Guards and staff managed the perimeter efficiently, quietly redirecting visitors and ensuring that no unauthorized access occurred. Some people whispered prayers, others exchanged concerned glances, and a few speculated on what might have happened. The controlled response by the palace team minimized chaos, preserving dignity and safety for the princess while maintaining order. As the minutes passed, the princess's parents spoke privately with the medical team. They asked questions about what could have caused the sudden collapse and whether further tests were needed. The doctor explained that while fatigue and a drop in blood pressure were likely contributors, monitoring and follow-up care were essential. The family nodded, grateful for the clarity and professionalism with which the situation had been handled. Captain Bennett took a moment to step back slightly, observing the broader picture. His quick thinking, combined with decisive action, had prevented a potentially dangerous situation from escalating. He reflected on the delicate balance between duty, protocol, and human judgment. Rules existed for good reasons, but there were moments when instinct and experience must guide actions, especially when a life is at stake. As the situation stabilized, palace staff began preparations to return the princess to her private chambers. A comfortable seat, hydration, and light refreshments were arranged. Her family remained close, offering reassurance and company. The medical team continued to monitor her vitals carefully, ensuring a seamless transition from immediate emergency response to short-term recovery. Captain Bennett escorted the princess carefully through the palace corridors, maintaining a protective presence while keeping pace with her comfort. Staff members cleared the way, ensuring a smooth passage free from obstacles. Even the smallest details were attended to, from the arrangement of cushions to the positioning of guards, all contributing to an environment of calm and safety. Once in her private chambers, Charlotte was able to rest properly. She reclined on a plush chair, covered lightly with a soft blanket, and drank small amounts of water. Her parents stayed nearby, occasionally offering gentle words of encouragement. The medical team continued monitoring her condition, taking detailed notes to share with senior palace medical advisors. Everything was carefully documented to ensure no detail was overlooked. Captain Bennett remained nearby, not intruding but ready to act immediately if necessary. His presence provided a quiet reassurance, someone who had proven capable in the moment of crisis, someone whose judgment had made a tangible difference. The princess, though tired, seemed more at ease knowing that a trusted and experienced guardian was close at hand. Later, as Charlotte began to regain her strength, she spoke softly to Bennett. "Thank you for acting so quickly. I don't know what would have happened if you had." Her words trailed off, a mixture of gratitude and awe in her tone. Bennett nodded humbly, acknowledging her words without making them the focus. "It's my duty, Your Highness. I just did what I thought was right," he replied calmly. The palace staff began organizing the remaining details of the day. While the public engagement had been interrupted, contingency plans were implemented to reschedule the visits and manage the flow of information. Everyone involved recognized the significance of the morning, a reminder that even in the most controlled environments, unexpected events could occur, demanding immediate and thoughtful action. As the day progressed, Princess Charlotte continued to recover. She remained under observation, but her vital signs remained stable, and her strength gradually returned. The medical team confirmed that no serious underlying issue had caused the collapse, attributing it primarily to fatigue and a temporary drop in blood pressure. The relief was palpable, both for the family and for those who had witnessed the event unfold. Captain Bennett, having ensured that the princess was safe and comfortable, allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. The day had tested every skill he had acquired over years of service: observation, decision-making, and calm action under pressure. He understood that in life, there were moments when rules were important, but judgment and human instinct could be just as critical. Today had been one of those moments. Even as the immediate crisis passed, the experience left a lasting impression on everyone involved. Guards, staff, and family members alike had seen firsthand the importance of preparedness, vigilance, and quick thinking. It was a reminder that behind the ceremony, tradition, and formality of royal life, there existed the same fragility, unpredictability, and need for human care that everyone experiences in everyday life. By the evening, Princess Charlotte had regained much of her energy. She smiled faintly at her parents and spoke softly with Bennett, acknowledging his role in keeping her safe. The medical team continued to monitor her, and the palace staff quietly resumed their usual routines, mindful that the events of the morning had highlighted both vulnerability and resilience in equal measure. By the next morning, the palace had regained a sense of calm, though the events of the previous day remained vivid in everyone's mind. Princess Charlotte had spent the night resting under careful observation, her condition steadily improving. The faint traces of exhaustion and pallor that had caused such concern were gradually disappearing, replaced by her usual healthy appearance and gentle energy. The royal family, though relieved, remained attentive, ensuring that she did not overexert herself as she resumed her routine. Captain Thomas Bennet remained quietly nearby, a steady presence as always. Though the immediate danger had passed, his vigilance had not wavered. Years of training had taught him that emergencies could arise unexpectedly, and the events of the previous day reinforced that lesson. His role had shifted slightly, from protector in crisis to guardian in recovery, but his attention to detail and careful observation remained crucial. Every movement, every gesture, every expression of the princess was noted and assessed, ensuring that her recovery continued smoothly. The medical team continued to monitor her vital signs, conducting routine checks on blood pressure, heart rate, and hydration levels. They encouraged her to take small walks within the palace chambers to regain strength and balance, while also ensuring that she did not overexert herself. Nurses prepared light refreshments and hydration solutions, which Charlotte accepted slowly, mindful of her body's recent strain. Each step forward was small but significant, a gradual return to normalcy after the sudden episode. While the princess focused on recovery, palace officials worked behind the scenes to manage public communication. A carefully worded statement was released, assuring citizens and the media that Princess Charlotte was receiving the best possible care and that her condition was stable. The statement emphasized the professionalism of the medical team, the rapid response of the royal guards, and the importance of vigilance and preparedness in such situations. It balanced transparency with discretion, ensuring that the public remained informed without compromising privacy. The news quickly spread, and social media began to buzz with messages of concern and support. Citizens expressed relief at hearing that the princess was safe, and many praised the quick actions of Captain Bennet and the medical staff. Posts highlighted the importance of vigilance and quick thinking, celebrating the human elements that had ensured the princess's safety. While some speculation emerged, the overwhelming sentiment was one of gratitude and admiration for the professionalism and care displayed by everyone involved. Princess Charlotte's family remained deeply involved in her recovery. Her parents, though relieved, were careful not to overwhelm her. They offered quiet companionship, soft encouragement, and gentle reminders to rest. Their presence provided both comfort and reassurance, reinforcing the importance of emotional support in conjunction with medical care. The bond between family members was evident in the way they communicated silently through glances, subtle gestures, and quiet words, creating an atmosphere of calm and security. Captain Bennet observed these interactions with careful attention. He recognized the power of emotional stability in recovery. His role, though primarily protective, included maintaining a sense of calm and safety around the princess. Every step he took was deliberate, adjusting cushions for comfort, ensuring water and refreshments were within reach, and monitoring for any signs of discomfort or fatigue. His presence was unobtrusive yet reassuring, a silent guarantee of safety that allowed the princess to focus on regaining her strength. As the day progressed, Charlotte began to regain her usual poise and energy. She engaged in light conversation with family members, expressing gratitude for their support and for the swift actions that had prevented a more serious outcome. Her voice was steady, her laughter returning in small, warm bursts that reminded everyone present of her resilient spirit. Even in the aftermath of a frightening incident, her calm and composed demeanor inspired confidence and reassurance among those around her. Later in the morning, Captain Bennet accompanied the princess on a short, slow walk within the palace grounds. The sunlight was gentle, and the gardens were tranquil, providing a sense of serenity. Each step was deliberate, with Bennet close by, guiding her carefully. She admired the familiar beauty of the palace grounds, the rows of flowers, the gentle trickle of fountains, and the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze. For her, these small moments of normalcy were restorative, reminding her that life continued despite yesterday's sudden upheaval. The walk also offered an opportunity for reflection. Princess Charlotte spoke softly to Bennet, sharing her thoughts and feelings about the incident. "I never realized how quickly things could change," she said, her voice thoughtful. "One moment I was greeting children, and the next, I felt so weak and unsure." Bennet nodded, listening attentively, understanding the significance of her words. "It happens, Your Highness," he replied. What matters is how we respond. The important thing is that you're safe now, and we've learned from this. Their conversation underscored a critical lesson. Emergencies often arrive without warning, and preparation, judgment, and calm action are essential. For the princess, the experience had been both frightening and enlightening, highlighting the importance of listening to her body, pacing herself, and trusting those around her to provide support when needed. For Bennett, it reinforced the value of experience, instinct, and the willingness to act decisively when protocol alone may not suffice. As the afternoon approached, the palace staff prepared a small gathering for the princess, limited to immediate family and trusted aides. It was not a formal event, but rather a quiet moment to reconnect, reflect, and celebrate her recovery. Light refreshments were served, and the atmosphere was calm and supportive. Charlotte engaged in conversation with her family, discussing routine matters, sharing lighthearted anecdotes, and laughing quietly. The sense of normalcy, though fragile, began to return. During the gathering, discussions naturally turned to the events of the previous day. Staff and family members expressed admiration for Captain Bennett's quick thinking and decisive actions. They recognized the delicate balance he had maintained between protocol and human judgment, praising his ability to act effectively in the moment of crisis. While some acknowledged that protocol was important, everyone agreed that Bennett's actions had exemplified courage, responsibility, and the highest standards of care. In private, Princess Charlotte expressed her gratitude to Bennett personally. "I can't thank you enough," she said softly, her eyes reflecting genuine appreciation. "You acted so quickly, I can't imagine what might have happened otherwise." Bennett accepted the thanks humbly, emphasizing that his role was to serve and protect, and that he had simply done what he thought was necessary. Their exchange, though brief, conveyed mutual respect, trust, and understanding, a bond forged under extraordinary circumstances. As evening approached, the palace grounds settled into a serene quiet. The sun dipped low, casting a warm glow over the gardens. The fountains sparkled gently, and the soft rustle of leaves created a peaceful soundtrack. Princess Charlotte, now fully resting, felt the comfort of familiarity, security, and the presence of those who cared for her deeply. It had been a challenging day, but she had emerged safe, supported, and wiser for the experience. The public response continued to reflect admiration and concern. News outlets highlighted the professionalism of the palace medical team and the bravery of Captain Bennett. Articles praised the quick decisions that had protected the princess, emphasizing the importance of preparedness, judgment, and human care in moments of unexpected crisis. Social media posts echoed these sentiments, with citizens expressing gratitude and admiration for the swift, competent response. The incident became a case study in crisis management, highlighting the delicate balance between rules, instinct, and action. In private moments, the princess reflected on the experience with a mixture of humility and appreciation. She understood that while the incident had caused fear and uncertainty, it also revealed the strength, competence, and dedication of those around her. The incident reinforced her awareness of the importance of self-care, attentiveness to health, and trust in the people who supported her. It was a lesson she would carry forward, not as a source of fear, but as a reminder of resilience, vigilance, and the value of human connection. Captain Bennett, too, reflected on the events. Though he remained focused on duty, he recognized the broader significance of what had occurred. Rules and protocols were essential, but there were moments when judgment, courage, and decisive action were even more critical. The incident underscored the importance of remaining calm under pressure, observing carefully, and responding promptly. His experience reinforced his commitment to his role, not only as a protector, but as a guardian who balanced protocol with compassion and wisdom. In the days that followed, Princess Charlotte gradually resumed her normal routines. She attended select engagements, paced her activities carefully, and remained mindful of her health. The experience had left her more aware of the importance of balance, rest, and listening to her body. She continued to work with her family and staff to ensure that she could fulfill her duties safely and confidently, drawing strength from the lessons learned during the sudden crisis. The palace staff also incorporated insights from the incident into their planning and training. Emergency protocols were reviewed, ensuring that future situations could be managed with both strict adherence to rules and flexibility to allow human judgment when necessary. The event became a learning experience for everyone involved, reinforcing the importance of preparedness, vigilance, and calm decision-making. By the end of the week, the atmosphere within the palace had largely returned to normal. Princess Charlotte was smiling, engaging with staff, and interacting with family and guests with her usual grace. Captain Bennet continued his protective role, quietly ensuring her safety while observing for any signs of fatigue or stress. The events of the previous day remained fresh in their minds, but the resolution had demonstrated the effectiveness of swift action, careful observation, and human empathy. As night fell over the palace, Charlotte looked out over the gardens from her chamber window. The fountains sparkled in the moonlight, and the gentle rustle of leaves created a peaceful backdrop. She reflected on the events of the past day, the sudden collapse, the decisive actions of Captain Bennet, the calm professionalism of the medical team, and the unwavering support of her family. Gratitude filled her heart, tempered by a renewed awareness of the fragility and resilience of life. She turned to Bennet, who had remained respectfully nearby throughout the evening. "You truly made a difference," she said softly, her voice carrying quiet sincerity. "Not just for me, but for everyone who was here." Bennet nodded, humbly acknowledging her words. "It was my duty, Your Highness," he replied simply. "I only did what was right in the moment." Their shared understanding reflected a bond forged in circumstance, trust, and the human instinct to act when it mattered most. The incident, while challenging and unexpected, ultimately became a story of courage, preparedness, and compassion. It demonstrated that while rules and protocols guide actions, the human capacity for judgment, empathy, and decisive action is equally vital. Princess Charlotte's recovery, the dedication of the palace staff, and the bravery of Captain Bennet illustrated the power of quick thinking and the importance of care in moments of crisis. By the time the palace settled into quiet nighttime stillness, the princess was resting comfortably, surrounded by those she trusted most. Captain Bennet remained nearby, ready to act if needed, but confident that her immediate safety and health were secure. The events of the day had left an indelible mark on everyone involved, reinforcing lessons that would guide them in future challenges, and serving as a reminder of the importance of vigilance, compassion, and courage. In the end, the incident became more than a story of a sudden collapse. It became a testament to human resilience, the importance of careful observation, the courage to act decisively, and the strength of bonds formed in times of pressure. Princess Charlotte's experience reminded everyone that life can change in an instant, and that preparedness, empathy, and quick thinking can make all the difference between uncertainty and safety.